March 22nd, 2016. This young man on a bike had been getting pressure for months from the lawyers at Kik, a Canadian messaging app similar to WhatsApp. Fed up, he decided to take control and deleted 11 lines of code from the internet. The result? Thousands of websites around the world went down, including giants like Facebook, PayPal, Netflix, and Spotify. At the end of this video, we'll look at what happened to the young man who dared to challenge the entire system. But first, who was this guy? His name was Azer Koçulu. He describes himself as a self-taught developer with nothing but a high school diploma who learned everything thanks to the open source community. Honestly, his life story could be a movie. The original Medium post where he shared it is no longer online, but I managed to dig it up. Azer went to a high school in Turkey that was infamous for violence and forced labor. He was made to scrub the floors twice a week and didn't even complain. Many of his classmates were building furniture, washing cars, or doing repairs instead of studying. He first discovered the internet thanks to a Turkish web celebrity, Internet Mahir. If you've ever seen Borat, imagine a real-life version. That's Mahir. He had a famously bizarre website called I Kiss You, which became a huge inspiration for Azer. Azer wanted a website too, but he couldn't build it on his own. That's where Mohammed Daoud came in, an Iraqi immigrant who taught him how to set up a server and even helped fund it. Mohammed also acted as his English-Turkish translator. That's how Azer Koçulu began contributing to open-source projects, landing his first jobs as a programmer in Turkey, and not long after, in the US. By 2016, Azer was living in Oakland and working for a startup in San Francisco. He had made his dream come true, all thanks to his work in open source. I owe everything I have to the people who never gave up on the philosophy of open source, he wrote in an email to Quartz magazine. As a self-taught developer, one of the languages Azer mastered was JavaScript. Naturally, he became an active contributor to the community. He was well known for publishing packages on NPM. If you're unfamiliar, NPM is the default package manager for JavaScript. It's open source software, but it's run by a for-profit company, NPM Inc., which is owned by GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft. Keep that in mind, it'll matter later. It was one of Azer's JavaScript packages that triggered the chaos, a tiny module called Kik. It wasn't especially popular, but it happened to share a name with the Canadian messaging app Kik. That small coincidence would end up crashing PayPal, Facebook, and Spotify for hours. It all started on March 11th, 2016. That day, Azer got an email from Kik's legal team asking him to rename his package because they wanted to use the name and it was their registered trademark. "Sorry, but I'm building an open source project with the same name," Azer replied. The company quickly turned up the heat. "We don't want to be jerks, but this is a registered trademark in many countries, and if you release a project called Kik, our lawyers will come knocking and take your stuff down." "Haha, yeah, you are being jerks," Azer replied. "Screw you, don't email me again." The company even offered to pay him for the name. Azer suggested a modest $30,000 or so. Clearly a deal wasn't going to happen. So Kik turned to NPM, the company managing the package registry. After what didn't seem like a particularly tough negotiation, NPM gave in. They agreed to transfer the name to the Canadian company. Apparently, they didn't want any legal drama over a name they didn't even care about. The CEO of NPM emailed both parties to announce the decision. Azer replied, "I've known you guys for years and never imagined you'd side with patent lawyers threatening people who contribute to open source." That's when Azer decided to go nuclear. "I don't want to be part of NPM anymore," he wrote to the CEO. "Unpublish all my packages." Just 2 days later, JavaScript developers around the world started seeing mysterious errors in their code. The problem was severe enough to break services and applications all over the web. We're talking about Facebook, PayPal, Netflix, Spotify. So, had Azer written code for these companies and then deleted it? Not quite. Among the many packages he removed was LeftPad. LeftPad was just 11 lines of code, a loop that added characters to the beginning of a string. Super simple, but despite its simplicity, the package was used as a dependency by hundreds of others. It had been downloaded over 15 million times before it disappeared. Among the projects that depended on LeftPad were Babel, Webpack, React, and React Native, frameworks that underpin almost every modern web app. The disappearance of LeftPad hit like an earthquake. Thousands of developers swarmed the GitHub repo demanding answers. A package vanishing into thin air isn't something you see every day. Faced with the crisis, NPM decided to restore the package. Unpublishing a package is an unprecedented step we're taking due to the severity of the situation. We don't take this lightly, wrote the company's CTO. The crisis was resolved in just 2 hours. Yes, only 2 hours, but 2 hours that brought the web to its knees. Reactions came fast and opinions were everywhere. Some blamed Kik, others blamed NPM, others blamed Azer. Some were more introspective. How could the modern web depend on a tiny 11-line package? It was a sign of widespread bad practices in the industry. And of course, there were those who handled the whole thing with humor. One developer even created leftpad.io, a website that promises to offer the functionality of leftpad forever. So such a tragedy never strikes again. As for Azer, he apologized for interrupting the work of his fellow developers, but stood by his decision, saying he believed it would benefit the community in the long run. But what do you think? Who was really to blame for this disaster?